Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tobacco Road and Abroad. My name's Gareth, joined by Aiden. Today we've got a lot on the slate. We're mainly going to focus on some college baseball, but first we're going to start off with NHL as Canes had a playoff game tonight. Unfortunately, the Canes lost the series to the Florida Panthers. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't know how in depth we'll go. We'll probably go a little more in depth once, the conference finals are like all said and done.
hmm
That might be next week, but we'll have some initial thoughts tonight. So, Aiden, do you have any initial thoughts from the game?
Well, I respect the Canes for not making it a sweep, but I'm not gonna lie, this series was ugly from the beginning, man. Absolute. The Canes did not deliver in any capacity that I thought they were going to. Absolute embarrassing turnout in game two. In game three, they lost 6-2. Like there was just almost no defense throughout the entirety of this series, in my opinion. Uh, Defensive play just was not there, and Florida capitalized. Remember me and you commented on like the first game. It just looked like Florida was playing Carolina style hockey, and
Yeah.
Carolina just wasn't up to bat, and just another year kind of down the gutter. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this was the year. This was the year that was supposed to happen. This was the year that everything, like, if there was a year Carolina was going to make the Stanley Cup, this would have been the year, and it didn't happen. And
Yeah.
I,
To that, I will say, it did kind of feel like that year. It felt like the stars finally aligned for the Canes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have anything else to say?
no,
Or,
I don't have anything else to say.
but I would say to that point, I think that was the expectation from the fans. But I do think Rod Brendamore had like a really interesting quote in his presser tonight. Um, I forget exactly what he said, but he was like, someone asked him, how do you feel about what the Carolina Hurricanes achieved? Because he's like, I feel like there's a lot of like stuff where it's like he's like there was like a mix of expectations, and he's like, I know. He's like, certainly from an outside perspective, from a fan's perspective, and I'm not saying Aiden's wrong. I certainly felt this way as well.
Yeah,
He was saying from the fans' perspective, he goes, I can see how they expected like this was the year for it to happen. Like, because after the past two times we've fallen short in series, he's like, there's been a mass exodus of really good players and just like a clearing of cap space, a lot of people going into free agency. But he said, honestly, with the pieces that they lost and how they started in September, he didn't even think they were going to make the playoffs. He said, honestly, with the players we had leave in free agency in the summer, he's like, he didn't think we were going to make the playoffs this year. And he's like, if we were going to make the playoffs, he's like, I thought we were going to lose first round. And he's like, so he's like, they went above and beyond. But he's like, things just kind of, he's like, I will agree with the fans. He's like, as the season progressed, things just kind of fell our way. He's like, you know, we got Mikko Rantanen for a few games, but then that fell through. But then he's like, who we ended up getting for Mikko Rantanen, Logan Stankoven, he's like, it's just, he's like, for what we had, the team really came together nicely. And he's like, I know this is like beating a dead horse and fans don't like to hear this. He's like, I'm really excited for next year because he's like, we have a lot of cap space. And he's like, I know things can change, but he's like, I've talked to the guys and he's like, they're really on board with running it back. And he's like, we're going to lose a few people to free agency, but he's like, that's just going to open up more cap space. And he's like, we're very aware of the places we need to fill. And he's like, I feel like that puts us in a really good spot. He's like, we needed a goal scoring center. He's like, who is not Aho, someone who can score just as prolifically. And he's like, we got that in Stankoven when we didn't think we were going to. So he's like, we're in a really good scenario going forward. But what I will say is, I'm kind of like, he kind of like, I'm kind of split between the two. Like on our side of the spectrum, I mean, like it really did feel like the dominoes really fell in our favor. Like it did. This was the year. Like we lucked out of that fucking Mikko Rantanen debacle. Who, by the way, do you want to take a guess who has more goals, not only in the conference final but in the playoffs as a whole? Mikko
Miko.
Rantanen or
Yeah,
Logan
yeah,
Stankoven?
yeah.
Logan Stankoven has more
Oh,
goals than Mikko Rantanen.
hmm.
He has two in the conference finals. You know how many
Oh, I
That
thought you were talking
points.
about as the playoffs as a whole.
No, playoffs as a whole. Eastern Conference Finals. Um, Rantanen doesn't even have a point. Stan Coven, on the other hand, has two, maybe 3 points in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's all I'll say. And then for the little bit of the regular season he was there for, good. Now, to get back to the series, three of these games were the frustrating thing that I think Aiden was hinting at was three of these games that the Canes lost were very winnable at one point or another.
Yeah, at the puck drop.
Like, well, not sorry, that 5-2 loss, things really took a turn for the worse in the late second period. And you're going to notice a theme here. We took a stupid penalty because Svechkinov decided to punch someone in the damn head, and that just caused a spiraling thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 6-2 loss, it was 1-1 at the end of the second period. Believe it or not, in that 6-2 loss in game 3, it was 1-1 at the end of the second period.
Mm-hmm.
And then Florida scored 5 goals in 8 minutes. Well, sorry, 4 goals in 8 minutes. One was an empty netter. 3-0, that's whatever. 5-3. This game was winnable, and we were up 2-0. Then we obviously went down 3-2, tied it 3-3. Then we went down 4-3. Then we went down 5-3. But I'll talk about that last goal.
Yeah, that's an empty net.
Well, it shouldn't have happened, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
What I will say is, Aiden's kind of had it. Florida plays the exact same way as the Hurricanes. Like, that is their brand of hockey. Like, it's just to frustrate teams. Now, I will say the big difference is tempo. The Panthers are more selective and plotting and strategic with their attack, whereas, like, the Hurricanes is pucks on that, pucks on that, pucks on, which works when we can do it. And that's the frustrating thing about playing Florida. Like, I'm starting to realize why the people hate the Canes so much, and it's the same reason people hate Florida. It's because they play a style of hockey that makes your team look really bad. Like, your team could be given 100% effort, and they just make your team look bad. Like, for instance, like, I said this on Twitter, and I got absolutely flamed. Like, someone said something about, oh, the Carolina Hurricanes play the most boring style of hockey. Yeah, buddy, it sure is boring when your team's getting fucking blown out. Like, he must have been a Capitals fan. This was like right after the 5-0 loss. He's like, that was the most boring 5-0 loss. And I was like, when your team's getting blown out, it's generally not fun to watch. So, anyone who says Carolina plays boring hockey, outside of Panthers fans, what I'll say to you, it's very boring getting blown out. Believe me. But back to this is second to last point. In the similarities between the Canes, you can't really ever turn off against them. Like, it'll be a close game 1 second, but if you have a lapse in just awareness for 2 minutes, both of these teams have the ability to put goals on you. Like, no matter, like, example 1, that final Devils game where the Canes were down 3-0. The Devils blinked and it was 3-3. Yeah, they got one consolation goal back, but then the Devils blinked and it was 4-4 again. Same thing with the Canes. Canes are tied 1-1 with the Panthers. They blink, 5-1. Tonight, we're up 2-0. They blink, they're down 3-2.
Yeah.
That's the style of defense that these teams run, is it turns, like, they can turn even what seem like the most harmless mistakes into gold. That's what's dangerous about these teams. So, I know I've been critical of Rod, but I think we need to keep Rod for right now. Like, he's got, like,
if Rod got swept, I think his job, like, he's out. But
I think with
game 4, I think kind of at least put him in, like, good graces at least.
at least tonight was a game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no shame. Like, yes, we're frustrated, but there's no shame in, like, how tonight, like, we went down playing Carolina style hockey. Like, this was how I hoped the series would go. Was just both teams playing their style of hockey, just like up and down, almost like a Western Conference, and it kind of was. But I'm excited for next season. Just some general pointers on, like, the Canes year as a whole, like the playoffs. Morrow, the defender, who Aiden and I talked about this beforehand, kind of pissed down his leg to begin the series. But hey, He's a young player. He's making his first appearance for the Canes in like elimination hockey games. So like, throwing a young guy out there in that scenario, probably wasn't the best recipe. But with
Bro just
when
got
they
pulled off from the front lines of Ukraine. Like, bro,
that's Nikishin. That's Nikishin.
Nikisha. Oh, damn. My bad.
But no, it's honestly with Chetfield being out and Blake being out, it was going to be tough. It's like someone had to step up, and it just so happened to be young guys. Now
Yeah.
Nikishin, on the other hand, for the future is bright. If
Yeah.
Bro's scoring points in his first start and making of any, like, I know it was a 4-1, like the series only wasn't really that close till the end, but at moments, Nikishin was making like some of the best forwards in the league on Florida look like absolute idiots. Like he was just like they'd be doing all this stuff with the puck, like doing all these like tricks to get around people, and he'd just poke his stick out, and the puck would come loose. Or like Marchand, that rat. Sorry, that's the NHL. Oh, the way Marchand looked when
Yeah.
the fucking rat would pick the puck up and he'd start getting cute with it. Nikishin would just slam his ass into the wall, and ever like the rest of the Canes defenders look around like we can do that. But no, Nikishin looked great. Um, Orlov. Um, I will say this: I'm not saying I could ever be good at hockey, but Orlov's been in Cancun for the last 5 games. Maybe even the Washington series. There were some goals in there that were like. Now I will say, Nikishin at times of the day did not have a great performance, but I will say one of those goals, the goal that Nikishin was responsible for, is because Orlov didn't communicate with him. Like if you watch the relay, there was like no communication. Like he kind of left Nikishin out to dry. So Orlov, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind if he becomes. I know people would like you've kind of hinted at this. Like this was kind of the Canes year. A lot of people are going to leave in free agency. He's one of those where I'm like, yes, please, please,
Send
please
your
go.
ass to Anaheim.
I will take Dylan Morrow's growing pains. Like Dmitry Orlov is one of the most experienced defensemen in the NHL. But bro's just out to lunch. I will take Morrow's growing pains over that. Because dude's at least out there trying. Like he at least wants it. Like I know I like kind of like was frustrated with him after game 2, but bro at least wants to be there. Like he's at least trying.
Yeah.
Now, people are calling for Burns to be let go in free agency. What I'll say about Burns is like Burns' mistakes are due to his age. Like his mistakes are just him not realizing he's 40 years old and he just can't do certain things. Like, dude, you cannot make a risky move when you're the only guy back because you are not fast enough to get back if you mess up.
Yeah.
You are not tracking down these young forwards. So I'd say I'd be okay with keeping Burns. He's been good to us. He's the only 40-year-old in the league without a cup. So I feel like it's kind of like let him retire here, let him be happy. It's a style of hockey he likes playing because we let him go forward and we let the old man shoot. So, I say we keep him. But
Yeah.
Orlov, give me Morrow's growing pains instead. Give me Morrow's growing pains. That's all I will say. We'll probably get more in depth as we go on. Probably have more in depth stuff once the Western Conference final rounds up. But it looks like we're gonna have another Edmonton Oilers versus Florida Panthers series.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on the NHL, or you want to hop over to the NBA young boy?
I mean, we can hop over to the NBA. Today, the Oklahoma City Thunder took down the Minnesota Timberwolves, winning the series 4-1. Just want to give my credit and the announcement that SGA, Cy Alexander, won the NBA MVP, and he's been on like an absolute tear. Game 5, scoring 34 points, going 50% on 3 points, and shooting 14 for 25 at the field goal percentage. SGA's just been on an absolute kind of generational run this year, and I think he was bound to win the NBA MVP. And one thing I just kind of want to say, I've just been seeing a lot of statistics about like this Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, I believe if they win the NBA Finals, they're going to be one game behind the all-time most winningest NBA team behind the Golden State Warriors. They would have, if they win the finals, they will pass the 96 Bulls. So this Thunder team is just absolutely devastating. And I said at the beginning of the playoffs, like they're my pick to win the championship, and so far, like they've just proven me time and time again, sweeping the Grizzlies. Had that tough series against the Nuggets, but were able to take care of business. The Nuggets gave their best, but the Thunder were just showing up on every night, just like absolutely like devastating, like just at lethal performances. Timberwolves, I thought they had a shot a little bit at the beginning, but just the Thunder were. It was the Thunder's series, and this is the Thunder's championship to lose. And I think I still have them winning the championship. But I do want to highlight the Indiana Pacers. They're once again like showing that they're. I think if they make it to the finals, they close out this series against the Knicks. They're right now they're leading 3-1. I don't see the Knicks pulling this one out, but if the Pacers pull this out, it's going to be an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, in my opinion. And I know we usually like spend more time like hyping on like the NHL, but with the Canes out, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm my attention is going to be the NBA this these next coming weeks. So,
Yeah.
Gareth, you can do the NHL breakdown. I'm going to be doing the NBA breakdowns for this. Um, Pacers are on a pretty good run against the Knicks, and I see them closing this series out. But just in this game four that they took, winning 130 to 121. You got to highlight players like Tyrese Halliburton scoring 32 points, going 11 for 23, putting up really big minutes. Turner had a little bit of a more less impressive game, only scoring 13 points, but Pascal Siakam scoring 30 points, and off the bench, Benedict Mathurin. Uh, Going scoring 20 points off the bench, going 5 for 8 on the field goals, and going 10 for 11 in free throws. Like his ability to like get fouled and score points that really were in the clutch is something that this Pacer teams needs. And obviously, I'm kind of like thinking ahead right now for like this Pacers Thunder matchup if that happens. If the Knicks pull it off, I would love to see that. Carl Anthony Towns still able to put up big numbers in the loss, and I would love to see him get into the finals, but right now my mind's just completely set. Okay, it's going to be Thunder Pacers right now, unless something happens. I'm really excited to see these matchups, and it's something that um, I'd really love to see. Like the Pacers obviously would be an underdog, but this hypothetical series, like it's just making for a classic in my mind. It's going to be one of those. It could go one of two ways. I either the Thunder absolutely sweep, which I don't see happening, but I could see this series going to 7 if it happens.
Yeah. I would even try and educate myself on the NBA to watch that. Like I've watched some. Like
Hmm.
that would be one where I'd like take time out of my day, like scheduled, like NBA playoffs. Like I'll watch it like this. Like I like like who's
I
gonna
got
win?
I gotta hit up
Like,
my
physics questions.
we gotta hit up Nat for a little bit of an Oklahoma City Thunder debrief one of these
Oh,
next couple
we
games.
could we could
We
fucking
gotta
bring
bring
him
him on.
on.
We gotta bring him on the pod.
All right, Nate. Unstoppable force or immovable object? Who are you taking, Nathaniel?
Nah, but I'm excited to see the Thunder in the championship. Once again, just absolutely generational run by SGA. Really excited to see like with a kind of like relatively like young career. Like I'm excited to see where he goes and like how he like takes this team to the next level. I remember like back in like 2020 where the Thunder basically like traded like they were tanking in 2020. Like they were absolute dog water. And everybody was just kind of saying like, oh, like they're going to be really good. Like the memes were like uh, picturing a lineup of the next like Oklahoma City Thunder championship. And it was like the lineup, and it was like all kindergarteners because they were they were all taking
I
for.
saw that.
You remember that a couple years ago, but now it's all starting to like fall together now. And
Yeah.
like I'm really excited to see where this Thunder team goes. Like obviously, like I'm thinking ahead, but like this is a we have the makings of another Golden State right here, and I'm really excited to see where this team goes if they're able to pull it off right now. And I just love to see like kind of these like more small market teams kind of have some dominance in this league because like I love the like love seeing the Lakers succeed or like love seeing Boston like do good. But like to me, like what really grabs my attention, and I know like maybe the ratings are going to dip off this year a little bit because like oh, it's just like the two small market teams like competing against each other. Honestly, this has me more interested. Like it looks like the NBA is a little bit more fair now. Because like, you know, trades like Luka going to the Lakers, I was like, okay, this like of course one of the best prospects in the league is going to LA now. Like that just seemed that screamed rigged to me. But um I really love seeing these like small market teams kind of show success, and it's a little bit more like obviously I don't think the Hornets are going to be like making any type of these like generational runs in the next 20 years or ever, but like if I could like get into a small market team, I love watching Oklahoma City. I love watching the Indiana Pacers. Like these small market teams, hell, even the Orlando Magic. Like these small market teams, in my opinion, are what make the NBA the NBA. This is like it. What I like about college basketball is like, oh, you get like these like schools and teams from like these areas that aren't like NYC or LA kind of like making a name for themselves. That's what makes college basketball special. What's making the NBA special for me right now is these small market teams really dominating right now on the forefront. That's what's making it interesting for me. That's what as a college fan is what's dragging me to like what's making me pay attention to the NBA right now. Because like of course like if LA's doing good, like okay, who cares? Like I
Yeah.
don't. But like Oklahoma City getting a championship,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that.
I think that's good for any league, like a healthy balance.
Hmm.
Because like I think you have to have a healthy balance. Because like you, I like now this could be like the Canes fan of me, and I know
Yeah.
Raleigh's not technically a small market, but for hockey, it's small market. Like it's kind of nice when there's a balance of like one year it's a small market team, and the next year it's like it is good for the league. Like when teams like Boston and the Lakers are because wasn't there a while there where like both teams are kind of a joke. Like the
Yeah.
Celtics
Yeah.
were a joke. Like mid
Yeah.
2010s, both teams were kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah. like a latter year of Kobe years, LA was just not doing good, and like the
It was
Celtics
just
were,
a Kobe retirement tour.
yeah, yeah,
No, I think it's good, like because like you said, if it starts to get too small market dominated, like, you're gonna lose a lot of the big market. Now, I know I'm not gonna say this in like a bad way, but I feel like particularly with a lot of these big market teams, there's a lot of fair weather fans,
hmm
and like what a lot of people call playoff fans. I didn't know those existed until I got up here. But like talking to people at Providence, they're playoff Celtics fans is what they call it,
yeah,
or playoff Bruins fans.
hmm
So like, and obviously that's going to help the league's ratings and money when the big market teams do well. So like, but like you said, it's nice seeing like the. I know Indianapolis is a bigger city, but
hmm
like it's not like LA
yeah,
or like Miami. And I know Miami's not necessarily the best right now, but like it's not like an LA or Miami or
yeah,
Dallas or San Antonio or a Denver. It's
hmm
like Oklahoma City,
yeah,
Indianapolis, or in NHL's case, Edmonton. Like it's nice.
yeah. But anyway, more on that probably next week when the finals for both NHL and NBA are set, and we're probably going to be well underway with that. But now, little college baseball recap. My UNC Tar Heels are the ACC champions, and I had the opportunity to go to one of the games in Durham. Had a good time. UNC played Boston College. Not gonna lie, Boston College was a little bit going on a tear a little bit, and there was a like I was texting Gareth at the game. I was like, "Yo, we might be cooked right now." I
I
was
think a low point was when the Boston College closer came out to save a horse ride a cowboy. It was we may be cooked. We may be
we
cooked.
we
Frozen
may be
yogurt
cooked right now.
is we have to save a horse ride a cowboy.
Nah, but basically in that game, the starter for Boston pitched like a really great game for like the first 5 6 innings, and then they like out of nowhere they just kind of like started putting in their like closers and their replacements. That's when bats started to fly for Carolina, scoring like 7 runs in like the final 3 innings and like taking that series. Um, but UNC was able to handle, like, take care of their business with Boston College, take on Florida State, a pretty good game with a day 2 squad. I was a little bit concerned with Knapp being used against Boston College. I was like, okay, so we're kind of using the strategy I thought was going to be used, where it was like, okay, use your best player first. But the day 2 and 3 squads of UNC were really able to produce, and that Clemson game, like, dang, like what was it, like 14-4 or something like that?
I didn't even think they scored, but yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
like that was absolute lights out performance by UNC. UNC able to take the ACC championship. Ironically enough, on the same day, women's lax won the national championship. So shout out to the women's lacrosse team for taking that. And hang on, I want to see if I can pull this up because I did see this, but I want to make sure that I get this right. Um, doo, doo, doo.
I think I know it.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. All right, David Four was able to get his first PGA Tour win, and this past weekend on the same day. So that like big weekend for the Tar Heels, um, Tar Heel alums, and like women's lacrosse and college baseball all able to produce on the same day. So it was bad day, bad weekend for Raleigh, and bad week for Raleigh when it comes to Carolina Hurricanes and NC State baseball didn't necessarily produce. But like, hey, good weekend for me. Like, at least I got a silver lining out of this. But moving on, we have the College Baseball World Series. The field is set right now, and we got UNC hosting Super Regional at the 5 seed. And we're just going to be going through each regional, doing our picks, making predictions, and just kind of talking some college baseball for the rest of this episode. We can't really like predicting this is going to be kind of hard because there's like a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. Basically, for those who don't know, to win the regional, you basically need to beat at least like one team twice. So day one, like the 1 goes up against the 4, the 3 goes up against the 2. The winner of that moves on to the next day where like the winner of the 1 and 4 plays the winner of 2 and 3, while the loser of those 2 aforementioned games plays in an elimination game, and then the winner of that game plays the loser of the one who won the game between the winner. I don't know how to explain this. This is hard to explain. Gareth, can you help me here?
It's essentially double elimination, where it means like if you lose twice, you're like how I've always been taught is so. But just think of it as 2 pots of teams.
Mm-hmm.
It just like I know this is gonna make it more complicated, but like
I can't really explain it with words, but like on paper, I can explain it.
oh, here we go. So you've got your 1 and 4
Mm-hmm.
go up against each other. Aiden, explain that.
Yes.
Great. We got that. 1 and 4, and then your 2 and 3 play. The loser of the 1 and 4 plays the loser of the 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. Got
So
that
it's
too.
gonna look really weird because the loser's bracket looks like it just materializes on like the diagram.
Because it really
The
does.
winner, because it really does. Then obviously you've got the winner of the 1 and 4 playing the winner of the 2 and 3. The loser of the 2 and 3 playing the loser of the 1 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever loses the loser of the 1 and 4, 2 and 3 game is out. They're done.
Yeah.
Then whoever wins that game
Plays the loser
of the two winners of the first 2 games.
Yes.
Whoever wins that game then plays the 1 seed again.
If the 1 seed
if the 1 seed wins.
Plays the team that hasn't lost yet.
Plays the team that hasn't lost yet. If the team that hasn't lost yet loses, they play again later that day. So you can play a team up to 3 times. But that would involve,
in theory, there's a way that like you don't play one team in your like group. There's a way that can happen. It's pretty common. Also, in theory, like you could play all of them, but like you could also play a team 3 times, just like how the math works. But all you really need to know is if you lose 1 game, you're okay, but like you can't lose again. You lose 2 games, you're out. Ideally, just keep on winning. Like keep on winning, you'll be good. But just with the way things are, like things can happen. So in predicting this, Gareth and I are probably going to look at each group. We're not going to like dissect like, okay, Vanderbilt's playing Wright State in game 1. Is there a possibility that Wright State comes back in the event that they lose and then plays Vanderbilt again? How would they fare in that? We're not going to go that in depth because we will literally be here all night.
The next 6 hours. Yeah,
We'll be here for the
6
next 6 hours. What we're going to do is in this prediction, do a overview of the four teams, and of these four teams, who we think is best to move on to the super regionals. We will then, in the super regionals, talk about the two teams that we have facing against each other, and then who we think would go to the World Series. In the World Series, there are there's bracket 1 and bracket 2, and then the finals. We might talk about it, we might not, but let's just talk about the regionals and the super regionals for now. We can talk about
bracket
Omaha.
1. Yeah, because bracket 1 and bracket 2 of Omaha, guess what? They go back to a winners and losers bracket.
Yeah. So right now, the best way to make a complete summary of the field right now is to talk about the four teams in each regional. Let's talk about who has home field advantage, what the teams have going for them, and moving on from there. And of that, who we think is the most likely to win, and then maybe throwing in like, okay, in the event that this team doesn't win, I could very well see like the 2, 3, or 4 seed making a run, because there's always going to be some chaos, but we're just doing the best we can with what we have right now.
So how do you want to do this? Do we want to start with the one seeded regional and then go from there?
Yeah, let's start with that. Let's take a quick timeout because we're going to be here for a little while.
Okay.
We're going to be here for a while. I want to piss before. Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
Oh wait, Aiden, I just looked it up.
What?
In the event that no national seed is left, they go with whatever team has the best facilities and largest seating capacity.
So like in the event that ECU and NC State win, they'll go to NC State.
They'll play a 3-game series at NC State.
Okay.
But if Florida wins that, I have a feeling they'd be sending State to.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not scared. You know, NC State and SEC Super Regionals, there's kind of some. Arkansas choking away the series after winning by 24 runs in the first game. NC State, winning last year after Georgia gave up, I think it was like 27 runs. It might have been 17.
Hang on. I want to see. Is there a way like because I want to be able to like have each team's record and stuff on deck. So, because there's just some teams like, I'm sorry, I don't know too much about. Like, I don't know that much about Wright State or Eastern Tennessee State University.
Yeah. You see Joshua Block slice his fucking leg open in the gym.
I I saw the video. I didn't see the leg.
Oh, I didn't see the leg either. I saw the video.
That is not an updated. That was just predictions for some reason. How can I get fine? We'll do it like this. Okay. I think I'm ready.
Okay, here. I'm gonna go grab a water real quick. Sorry to hold us up. Where do I get there? No. No. We're on a health like kick this summer.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only alcohol I'm consuming, hardly. Diet root.
I've decided like the only alcohol I really consume is when I'm with like I'm celebrating. So like the only alcohol I'm probably gonna have this year, like this summer, is when I'm up at Boston with you. By the way, we're thinking July. I gotta figure out my PRK surgery, and then we'll figure out like how the healing and stuff works. But
Big Tech is listening, and I've got a cautionary tell Aiden I saw on TikTok. Remember that you've got the surgery. Just remember, because there was a guy who forgot he got the surgery and thought he had his contacts in. I don't think he got the same thing, but you know how with one of the surgeries they leave the flap?
yeah.
He peeled it off of his eye because he thought he had contacts in.
Oh no. Oh. Well, you see, PRK is different because that's LASIK. LASIK makes the flap. PRK takes it all. There's going to be no flap, and I'm going to put fake contacts in.
Okay, good. He got LASIK and he got booed.
Uh, was this a
He was
story of
like,
the guy who killed himself?
what?
There's a guy who got LASIK and then killed himself.
No, this was like this guy was alive. He's like, don't do this because I did this.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, in theory, that should be okay because that's basic. He basically just did PRK. It should heal.
Yeah, he was just like, it just hurt. He's like, I was like, why isn't it coming out? Then
Oh.
Aiden, I'm surprised the guy didn't kill himself from pain.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. Shit, I just spilled root beer on my tech.
Whoop beer.
And I really wish I could have gone to that sport NMS and this. Like I could, but I'd have to find like a substitute for work. And none of the people who are on the sub list ever want to work. And it's like a day like I cannot leave Garrett by myself. Like in theory, I have the vacation days to go, but it's a day where I just cannot leave Garrett by myself. Like I don't think there's a way for me to justify me going.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to, and I'd totally take you. Like I'd vote just because, like I'm not going as student. We're going as Tobacco Road and abroad.
Yeah.
What you do is you learn about sports media, and then you just get like blasted drunk at the awards ceremony. Like Aiden, had I been recording, there's videos of like famous commentary and media personalities where had I taken a video, their career would be over. Your career will be over tomorrow. Like Joe Buck's career would be over tomorrow. I would never do that. Like I'm not saying I'd do that, but like 40 for 49. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right, I'll start from 45. All right, we're going to hop into some College World Series badness, and we will start with the Nashville, Tennessee regional, which not only will give Vanderbilt a little bit of home field advantage, but also Eastern Tennessee State. Got several family that went there, so shout out, whatever they are. I forget their mascot, but they're pretty good at track. So, Aiden, any initial thoughts on the regional?
Real. First off, I want to say I think Vanderbilt's going to take this regional. I really like them a lot, taking the SEC championship. Really solid baseball team, historically speaking. The field is Vanderbilt, Wright State, Louisville, and Eastern Tennessee State University. Louisville, I could see like some things going their way, but just the latter half of the season, haven't really necessarily been too impressed by their play. Not the best performance in the ACC tournament. Kind of just one of those teams that was able to sneak in the tournament. I could see a world in which Louisville is like making some noise, but I got this series going to Vanderbilt easily.
I do as well. Vanderbilt has not only two things going for them, they are a really, really strong team with a lot of talent. But not only that, they're the hot team right now. They weren't necessarily the best team during or SEC conference play. They were near the top, but they weren't necessarily like that. That was more like Texas was kind of the cut and dry best team at that point. But then they just went on an absolute just tear of the SEC in the tournament. And a lot of times those teams out of the hot teams, they win the conference tournament. They may not have been the one seed. They come out swinging. So, and for me, no disrespect to ETSU and Wright State, but I really don't see them making all too much that noise, like that much noise. I will say, sometimes they give them a little bit of a scare. Like NC State last year was a national seed. Bryant led 1-0 for 2 minutes, and then NC State scored 9 unanswered runs. But like there may be like a little bit of uncomfortableness, but for me, Louisville is just going to be just too inconsistent. I know they've got a series win over a really good Carolina team. They've got some other decent series wins. I believe they also, beat Clemson in it. No, they lost Clemson in a series. They beat Florida State in a series. They lost the first game. They won, but and then I think they got swept by Notre Dame. But I'm honestly not sure. I will say one thing that's going to make things interesting is Louisville and Vanderbilt actually met for a one-off game in April, in which Louisville walked off in extra innings. While it was a good game, it was one of those games where it's like it wasn't convincing, but Vanderbilt was still a really good team at that time. But like you're saying, I just Vandy's the home team here. Louisville would have to beat them twice, and I think Louisville could get Vandy once? Yes, but I don't think Louisville can get Vandy twice. So I've got Vandy. So the Austin Regional next.
Austin Regional, we have Texas, Houston Baptist, UT San Antonio, and Kansas State. UT San Antonio has been looking really solid, in my opinion. They're 44-13, 23-4 in American Athletic Conference. This is a kind of a little bit of a sleeper division, in my opinion. Kansas State had a pretty solid like season in Big 12 play, and I like them a lot. I'm really excited to see that um, San Antonio and Kansas State series. Texas overall does look really solid, so I have them winning the uh, regional just with home field advantage. But look out for San Antonio and Kansas State. I see interesting things at play here. Uh, Maybe could be one of those series, like one of those events where we Texas needs to come back from a loss to in order to take the regional.
I agree. Texas is pretty dominant, and Houston Baptist is kind of one of those staple mid-major teams that you see them year in and year out in the tournament. Sometimes they're kind of on the line of, if they had a few more ranked ones, they could be looking at a regional host. And there's been some years where they've, if I'm not mistaken, they've upset some teams in a big way. But let me fact check real quick. And but I'll just talk about while I look this up, I'll just talk about the Kansas State UTSA matchup. It is really interesting to see. Hold on one second. It is really interesting to see a mid-major team ranked at the 2 spot. Normally, you see them at like the 1, 3, or 4. As normally that 2 spot goes to like your really solid Power 5 teams. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it because they've obviously had this season to deserve it. They've played the games. They've won the games they needed to win. But in my opinion, I'm gonna have Texas coming out of this. I know in past years there's been times where I believe it might have been Houston Baptist. I'm trying to fact check this now, where this kind of like frisky, mid-major team absolutely just blows out the regional 1 seed, but I doubt that's going to happen. There was one year where Oklahoma State got absolutely manhandled. That's not what I'm looking at. All right, you can continue. You can continue with the next one. I'm gonna for this.
We got the Fayetteville regional with Arkansas at the 3 seed overall in the tournament. In this series, we have Arkansas, North Dakota State, Kansas, and Creighton. North Dakota State, this just stuck out to me, probably has one of the worst records going into this tournament, but was able to make some little bit of late season magic to pull off a playoff appearance, if I'm not mistaken. Hang on, let me get this right. North Dakota State has a 19-32 record overall with a 13-5 record in the Summit League, but able to pull off some magic in the Summit League to make it to the big dance. So really impressive late season turnaround for North Dakota State, but I don't really see that playing a factor in this one. I have Arkansas winning this one. Kansas should be making a little bit of noise, especially against Creighton, but this Arkansas team is too sound overall for me to really give it any other way. I have Arkansas winning this one.
Yeah, for me, it's outside of last year, Death, Texas, and Arkansas moving on to the Super Regional. So there will be a Fayetteville Super Regional. So give me Arkansas, and that's no disrespect to Creighton. They've had a hell of a year in the Big East, but Creighton may get Kansas in my opinion, but I don't see any of these teams beating Arkansas twice. So I got Arkansas here.
After that, we have the Auburn Regional with Auburn, Central Connecticut, NC State, and Stetson. Uh, Tough draw for NC State going to Auburn's regional, but I see NC State making a little bit of noise right here. I think Auburn's a little bit too high seeded for the fourth seed. Maybe I'm a little bit biased as a UNC fan, but I digress. Um, I could very well see a world where NC State's able to pull two games off against Auburn. So there's that, but NC State has been a little bit lackluster these past couple games. They kind of really cooled off a little bit. Not the best appearance in ACC play, but I don't know, something about the Wolfpack. I have them beating Auburn.
Yeah, my main concern about this regional is not can we beat Auburn, it's can like you talked about is can we beat Auburn twice? I think we can, but we're just gonna need to work out some of the kinks because we were a hot team. Like for me, when we're on, it's there. Like it's there for the taking. Like embarrassing Clemson in 3 games. Like we almost run rolled them, and then won 4-1. Like we have the firepower, and when we're on, I think we can get them. And usually NC State shows up in these types of scenarios. So I've got State advancing out of this. No offense to the Stetson hats, one of my favorite mid-major teams. Like takes a lot of balls to have a double name, but for me, I've got State advancing out of this. Similar to you, I'm just not very impressed with them. Like, yes, they're in a tough conference, and yes, they've had some really, really solid wins. But for a Power Five team in the rankings, there's not. I don't want to say they haven't had a great season. That there's nothing to write home about. But like for the overall 4 seed, you'd kind of hope for a little more. I think that's what Aiden and I are trying to get at. It's like from the number 4 team in the nation earning that ranking in the tournament, you would hope for, like you would expect a little more, in my opinion. So I've got State advancing out of that.
After
Next,
that, we got the Chapel Hill. I really like UNC a lot in this. We got Holy Cross, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. Oklahoma and Nebraska have had some respectable seasons in the SEC and the Big Ten, respectively. And Holy Cross does have a World Series championship, but I don't see any of that being a problem for UNC. I got UNC taking this regional and moving on to the Super Regional.
yeah, unlike a lot of um, college baseball personalities, I really don't see UNC struggling with this regional. A lot of people are being saying Nebraska is the trendy pick to take out of this regional, but I think that's honestly just bias against the ACC. Like they're saying stuff like Oklahoma and Nebraska are gonna like dog walk. I really don't think that's the case. So I've got UNC coming. I just think UNC's similar to State is while State's cooled off a little. My take on them when either of these teams are hot, like there's no stopping. When they're on, like good luck. Like you're gonna have a tough time stopping. So I've got UNC coming.
Yeah. After that, we got the Baton Rouge regional with LSU, Little Rock, Dallas Baptist, and Rhode Island. I see this easily, LSU. I know Dallas Baptist is a little bit of like a trendy pick, like, really good mid-major team. I don't see them stop. I don't see a team in here that can beat LSU, in my opinion. I know we have respect for like Rhode Island and Dallas Baptist, but I'm not seeing it. LSU sweeping this, in my opinion. Like if honestly, I think this is the easiest road to a super regional, and maybe even the easiest road to Omaha that I see right now. LSU for me is just an absolute shoe-in for Omaha.
I'm stuck on this one because Aiden's mentioned the great history of Dallas Baptist. And not 2 years ago, we were having similar conversations about number 11 Oklahoma State and Dallas Baptist, who then would go on to lose to Dallas Baptist 14-4. So honestly, I think this LSU team's a little different. Dallas Baptist very deserving of that 2 seed, but in my opinion, I agree with Aiden. This LSU team is, while they didn't win the SEC, they're a team that's trending in the right direction. They've looked really strong, so I've got LSU here. Just in series, the way they've just been able to bounce back after that Tennessee series. Tennessee was like one of the like 2 or 3 in the nation. They win the first game, but then they get blown out in the second game, and the momentum seemed to be going Tennessee's way. But who else? They jump back on the wagon and they get it done. So I've got LSU. I think LSU may drop one to Dallas Baptist because even in years where Dallas Baptist doesn't advance, they tend to sneak up and take one or two. So all of LSU advancing, but not after a scare from Dallas Baptist.
After that, we have the Athens regional with Georgia, Binghamton,
Binghamton.
uh, Binging, Binghamton. I can't say it.
Bingham.
Binghamton.
We used to swim against them at Binghamton. They're a division school in upstate New York.
Yeah. Duke and Oklahoma State. I don't see Georgia escaping this one. I'm not gonna lie. I got either Duke or Oklahoma State in this one. Uh, I don't know. My like Duke kind of like fell off a little bit, but like something about them, like I'm feeling pretty little high on. But like Oklahoma State still was like pretty respectable in Big 12 play, but like I got Duke taking this regional, and I have them moving on.
Yeah. Um, UGA just really hasn't reached out to me. Yeah, they're dominant, but if you've looked at their performance at the past couple of postseasons, um, they've been good, but the problem is they really can't finish the job. They really, really struggled with Army last year. And then in 2 of their 3 games in the Super Regional against NC State, they got absolutely blown the fuck out. And I realize this team's a little different. It's mature. They've got new players, but honestly, I really don't see it happening for Georgia here either. I think you and I have very similar feelings about this. I think it's Duke or Oklahoma State, but in my opinion, I've got Duke. Duke's a team for me where they kind of had almost like a horseshoe of a. They started off really hot, then they beat NC State in a series, but then their season kind of started to cool off. But then they kind of picked it back up and heated up towards the end of conference. And so I think Duke's trending similar to basketball. College baseball is just if you're trending in the right direction when June comes around, you're going to be just fine. You may not win the College World Series, but you'll do enough to make you feel good about yourself going into the season. So for me, I got Duke coming in this one. They're just trending in the right. So again.
After that, with the 8C, we have the Corvallis regional with Oregon State, St. Mary's College, TCU, and USC. Oregon State, like in the independents, has been really solid, but I'm just a little like I have my like concerns with them a little bit. I have questions about like maybe strength of schedule, um, kind of not necessarily being set up in like the best way to succeed. Obviously, they've been dealt like not the best hand, but I still like have immense amount of respect for them. But TCU and USC are both teams that I think you really need to look at. I mean, USC going 18-12 in Big Ten play, TCU 19-11 in Big 12 play. For me, it's between them. I could see TCU taking this one. I got TCU moving on and taking on going to the Super Regional.
This one's a tough one. This is a lot of the teams outside of Oregon State, this regional are really on par with each other. I've seen a lot of hype surrounding St. Mary's, and I'm not saying that in like I'm discrediting it. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of good things from St. Mary's, but I'm just not sure if I have what it takes. USC, I'm not very high on. Although they have been on kind of a tear lately. I will say, they did have a series win against UCLA, but there's been certain questionable series, namely the Washington series. But for me, honestly, I'll take this one as chalk. Like, Oregon State, I like them a lot. They're killing it in the independent. Like Aiden said. And I just, outside of NC State, I just want them to do well because they kind of got collapsed upon when the Pac-12 went to crap. So honestly, give me Oregon State. They need some good press. They need some good press right now. And I think they're getting it, but I think they deserve a little more. So give me Oregon State out of this one.
After that, we have the Tallahassee Regional with Florida State, Bethune-Cookman, Northeastern, and Mississippi State. FSU, I feel like, is being a little bit too slept on right now. I know they didn't win the ACC, but had a really solid regular season. Had series canceled, so I don't necessarily think that they're given the respect that they necessarily reserve. Obviously, they have a regional and potentially a super regional, but I don't know, just something about FSU. I see them moving on. I feel like this is a relatively kind of it's a little bit weird because like Northeastern, you wouldn't expect to be like a big baseball school. 48-9, really solid team. Granted, not like the best strength of schedule in the CAA, but look at them, they might be making some noise. Also, Mississippi State, the new SEC, kind of a middling team, very deadly. This is a very interesting division that I could see going a plethora of ways, but I'm just going to go FSU on this one.
Yeah, I think when FSU's at their best, I mean, they're really unstoppable. They similar to the way we talk about the Carolina Hurricanes, they can explode. I don't know. I was watching their series against Cal, and they started really slow. Like, it was Cal jumped out to a 2-0 lead, held that lead for like 5 innings, and then 7 runs. The next day, Cal leads by 1, kind of in the middle of the game, 4 runs in 1 inning, 5 of the next. Like, a lot of baseball is about momentum and just kind of feel, and you've got to be mentally sharp. You can't be too down on yourself. You can't be like, oh, well, we're struggling to hit today, and I just feel off, and that's going to affect you. This Florida State team can bounce back at any point, and I feel like that's going to be vital down the stretch. Just having a short-term memory, especially in this tournament, is great. I can't tell you how many teams have, when it comes to Super Regional or the College World Series, like Series Game 1, where they get blown out, but then they don't let it affect them, and then they go on to win the next 2 games and just in convincing fashion. So I think that's going to be important for FSU, just their ability to kind of live and forget. So, and then make up for it the next day. So I've got Florida State in this.
After that, we have the Oxford Regional with Ole Miss, Murray State, Georgia Tech, and Western Kentucky. Man, I'm high on Georgia Tech. I know my ACC bias is basically shining through with this, but I'm feeling Georgia Tech on this one. Absolute, able to turn it around near the end of the season. Had some really good series. I think Georgia Tech's going to take this one.
I agree that they're similar to Florida State in that they've got big bats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they win big. And I forget what it was. Their one game against Cal where they ended Cal's little run. 6 of their 14 runs were home runs. Like just a single shot home run. Like the explosive upside's there. And sometimes you need teams like that who can be explosive. Georgia Tech, another team very similar to Duke, is on a very similar trajectory. Really hot to start the year, kind of cooled off in conference play, even dropped out of the rankings. And then lately they've been on a resurgence. They've been on the way up. They won the ACC regular season too as well. So they have the ability to take it the distance. They don't ever give up. They came back from 3 games behind over a weekend. So it's there for the taking for them. So I honestly, outside of NC State's regional, I think they honestly have the best shot of getting out of that regional. Obviously Duke's up there as well. And I know this could be ACC bias, but I also think I know people talk about with at least in baseball, the SEC bias is warranted. I think this is a year where it's going to get bit in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you wanted to maintain, like, yes, the SEC is a very dominant conference in baseball, but if you wanted to keep this narrative up, these are not the 2 seeds you wanted to put in those regions. Like, if the SEC is trying to have a narrative, Auburn, UGA, and Ole Miss just got the teams they didn't want to get as the 2 seeds. And I'll even be willing to say it, in some of those regions, they got the 3 seed they don't even want. Like, they've got a 3 seed that's making them sit there and kind of like
I got a
pick
I
that.
got a
Like,
I got a 3 seed in like these next couple ones that I think's gonna shock the world.
oh yeah. So that's all I've got to say, and enough ACC glazing. But I will say, I think we're gonna see a lot of surprises, at least when it comes to like the media world. Just when the SEC is not as dominant, I think it's gonna be. Obviously, the best teams in college baseball is like 3 of the 4 best teams. But I think a little bit of narratives are going to be shattered this weekend. So, shall we proceed?
Yeah, after that we have the Clemson regional. We have Clemson, South Carolina, Upstate, West Virginia, and Kentucky. I know it's a little bit like hypocritical of me, like saying like, "Oh, I'm going like I chose State to move on," but like I'm not high on Clemson right now. I just don't think they have like the day-to-day depth that they need for this tournament, and I got West Virginia taking this one.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I've honestly got Kentucky coming out of this regional. I like what I've seen from them. They're one of those kind of trendy SEC teams where it's like they're kind of hot and cold. Clemson, they did beat NC State. Hats off to them, but they did kind of get swept for a reason in a very non-convincing fashion. A decent bit of Clemson's runs came off of NC State mistakes. And we've talked about on here that NC State's 30-1 when they don't make an error. So I will say Clemson, I've got them on upset watch. They lost in their own super regional at home last year. And no shade to that Clemson team. Clemson's a very good baseball team, but there's a big drop off from that day 1 to day 2 squad, at least when it comes to pitching staff. The hitters are all the same, but when it comes to pitching staff, there's like a decently sized drop off. And no shade to Malstead. Malstead played really well against NC State in the ACC tournament. But where he started to slip is they kind of left him in for too long, and that's where NC State kind of came back and made it a game. Was he started to really slip? So it's going to be how First of all, how is Clemson going to pitch? Are they going to save the ace for the more important game, or are they just going to pitch their starter day 1? Because their starter's just as about as dominant as Jake Knapp is, but he's had a few slip ups along the way. But in my opinion, I think with how inconsistent Clemson's been, they've been consistent enough to get a regional seed. But with how inconsistent they are, I've got Kentucky coming out of this one. They've just got inconsistently dangerous written all over. So I've got Kentucky.
After that, we have the Eugene regional with Oregon, Utah Valley, Arizona, and Cal Poly. Give me Cal Poly. hear me out on this one, okay? Listen, Cal Poly basically robbed UC Irvine of their regional bid. Big West baseball, I believe, is mad slept on. I can see a world where Cal Poly comes out of this one.
Honestly, and especially Oregon, some of these Big Ten baseball teams, like Big Ten baseball, little suspect in my mind.
Little suspect in my mind. Listen, I'm saying.
Would I go as far as to say the Sun Belt's better? Yes. Sun Belt baseball is better than the Big Ten.
Ooh, that's a clip. That's a clip.
Sun Belt baseball is better than the Big Ten baseball. I'm sorry. Sun Belt teams don't give up when they're losing to an NAIA school for light fixture reasons. Big Sun Belt teams do the card they're dealt. They play the cards they're dealt. You know who doesn't? The Big Ten. And you guys are going to fucking wear that until it's otherwise proven. So, yeah, and Oregon's known to slip up from time to time. So, and, you know, for being an 11 seed, they haven't had the best season either. Like, I'm sorry. If you put NC State or Duke in the Big Ten, they're winning that conference outright.
Undefeated.
I wouldn't say undefeated because, you know, I think
UCLA and
UCLA, but I'm just saying, I know NC State lost to Ohio State earlier in the year, but that was a different team. That was a different team. NC State now, whoa, get your fucking mops and brooms out. Like, they're coming to clean up if they were in the Big Ten. So, you know what? I'm going to agree on Cal Poly, but I've got an interesting take. Game 1, Oregon loses to Utah Valley.
What?
Game 1, Oregon loses to Utah Valley. Quitters never win. Cheaters never win. All I'm saying is, I said it about Washington in the Big Ten tournament. I'll say it again. Cheaters never win. So, give me Utah Valley to win and then get eliminated. Give me Cal Poly.
After that, we have the Conway Regional with Coastal Carolina, Fairfield, Florida, and ECU. Man, I'm kind of split between Florida and ECU on this one. I'm not sold on Coastal Carolina at all. ECU is kind of hot lately. I could see a world where they upset Florida. Am I going to say that's what happens? Yes. Yes, I am. ECU takes down Florida and wins the Conway Regional. This one probably goes to like I think ECU is going to slip one to Florida, but I think they could win two.
This one, I agree. I'm not as high on Coastal Carolina, but I'm not sure if ECU's hot right now, and I'm trying to think about Florida baseball. Like, what's their season like? They're a team I honestly in the SEC don't know a lot about. They're probably out of the ACC, SEC, and Big Ten baseball that I've watched, they're probably the team that I've watched the least. If I'm being completely honest. They won a series against Miami, but that was a very different Miami. They beat the Stetson Hats.
Good for them.
They beat Florida State. They got swept by Tennessee. Yet they beat up on some E2 HBCUs. Congrats, guys. You're big and tough. They got swept by Georgia at home. They lost a series at home to Ole Miss. They got swept by Vanderbilt at home. What the hell? I'm not convinced by this. Give me ECU. God damn. How'd they make the tournament? How? You're okay. They have a series win against Arkansas. They swept South Carolina. They lost to USF.
ECU, sweep.
Okay, they did win the series in Austin, Texas against number 1 Texas. They did win the series against Alabama. So they are trending in the right direction, but goddamn, there's some questionable losses in there. Garrett be like,
You good?
I'm just saying, if NC State or Carolina had some of those losses, people would be throwing a fit that they made the tournament. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I have an ACC team that I'm a little bit that I have on fraud a lot alert, but we'll get there.
You know what? I'll take ECU for the narratives. We'll have a Raleigh Super Regional of State versus ECU. You
Mm,
can't write it. You can't write it any better than that.
you can.
Give me ECU.
After that, we have the Knoxville Regional, Tennessee, Miami, fraud alert, Wake Forest, and since
How did they even make it?
that's what I'm saying, they're a 2 seed in the Knoxville Regional. Easy win for Tennessee. Yo, what the hell is Wake Forest even doing here? You think he belong here? Okay, this is how you know we at least try to be subjective here in the Tobacco Road and Abroad podcast. A bad North Carolina sports podcast would go like, yo, Wake Forest actually has that dog in them. They actually have that demon, if you will, in them. Hell no. Wake Forest is going to lose to Cincinnati and then probably lose to Miami of Ohio. I have them just like immediate out of the tournament. Get Wake Forest out of here. Man, they should be a 4 seed right now. Give me Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm trying to look and. Oh, that's why they made it. Okay, Aiden. I think I found out why they made it. They won a series against Florida State in which they run ruled them twice. They run ruled Coastal Carolina.
Fraud
Ranked
alert.
Coastal Carolina. Not once, not twice, but 3 times they run ruled Coastal Carolina this season.
I'm still not sold.
I'm still putting them on fraud alert.
Fraud
I'm still
alert.
putting them on fraud alert.
Fraud alert.
No one loses to fucking High Point. Okay, that's midweek. I'll give him that. That was midweek. But
Still.
losing first round 12-14 to Cal. Yes, they were the hot team.
They
There
were
were worse
hot.
teams in the ACC that fucking swept Cal. Like NC State manhandled that shit over a holiday weekend where they had exams. And they still found the time to run rule them once in that sweep. I'm not saying Wake Forest has the talent. It doesn't have the talent, but they're kind of suspect. Give me Cincinnati to win the regional.
Fair. Valid. I still got Tennessee, but that's valid. I think that's the first. We is that the first one we disagreed on?
Nope. I have Kentucky coming out of a different
Oh
one.
yeah. All right. Then after that, we have the Los Angeles regional with UCLA, Fresno State, UC Irvine, and Arizona State. I'm not gonna lie, this is a really good looking one. I'm not gonna lie. I got UC Irvine winning it, but I can see Arizona State putting up a good fight. Like this is gonna be a good one. Like I like the proximity of this one. I feel like there's a lot of teams that are going to be like I feel like fans are going to turn out from like all sides on this one. I see some Fresno State fans probably making the trip to LA. I see some Arizona State fans going to be able to make it to LA and like UC Irvine. Like I'm excited for this one, but I got UC Irvine winning this one. Big West baseball is going to be making a name for itself this year.
Ooh, just looking at the schedule. UC Irvine, they probably feel skimped, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
UC Irvine did lose a series earlier this year to UCLA. They lost 2-0 in a series in which they lost 3-5. Oh, UC Irvine beat them. UCLA split with UC Irvine. I've got kind of an in-depth hot take here. I've got UC Irvine as well, but I've got Arizona State knocking out UCLA in the second game.
That's not
Because
ridiculous.
believe
That's
it or
not.
not, they played a series and Arizona State won comfortably. So
Yeah.
I realize
Yeah.
that's early season baseball, and early season baseball is like early season college basketball. If it happens before Christmas, or okay, if it happens before, Valentine's Day, no one gives a shit. Like, that's why I wasn't panicking about NC State going 0 for 5 in a weekend before Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
Like, it's just like, oh, well, okay.
Okay.
But, give me UC Irvine. They're going to be playing with vengeance. They're going to be mad they didn't get a regional. Like, some of these teams did not deserve a regional. I'm going to be honest. Oxford, Mississippi, I don't know. Tennessee, Georgia deserved one, but 7's a little high in my opinion.
A little high.
Little high, but no. That's all I'll say about the Los Angeles regional. So,
last regional, we got the Hattiesburg regional with Southern Miss, Columbia, Alabama, and Miami.
Broadler.
I got Alabama taking this one. Miami. I'm not really necessarily feeling Miami. I got Alabama winning this one. Alabama, I feel like I think it's an SEC team that probably deserved a
Regional, if anything.
Yeah. We're saying that I don't know how that happened. We're getting it to Ole Miss, but not Alabama. Maybe I could. Maybe my ignorance is kind of showing through, but I don't know. I'm high on Alabama. I got Alabama winning this one.
Yeah, any sort of fuel or steam that Miami train had in late April, early May is gone. Like, they forgot to refuel at the last station or something because they came to a fucking screeching halt in the ACC tournament. So
McQueen blew a tire. Bro, what happened?
So for me, give me Alabama. I agree with Aiden. They absolutely deserved a regional. In my opinion, more than fucking UCLA. Can't leave the Big Ten on anything. So God forbid.
So after that, we got super regionals. First super regional matchup hypothetical that we would talk about, Vanderbilt versus Alabama. I'd probably take Vanderbilt in 3. I think it could go either way, but Vanderbilt's hot, so I got to give it to them on that one. Then we would have Austin, Texas versus UC Irvine. Man, I would really want to see UC Irvine pull that one off, but I probably would have to go Texas for that one. Then FSU versus, I believe I had TCU. Give me TCU on that one. I could see it I just don't think Florida State would have the depth to go to Omaha really deep. Really started off hot, but kind of been tapering off a little bit. I like them a lot, but I don't know, just something about them. I got to go TCU on this one. Then Georgia Tech versus Duke. Give me Georgia Tech on that one. Then I would have UNC versus Cal Poly. Give me UNC. LSU versus West Virginia. Give me LSU. And then I would have NC State versus ECU. Give me NC State. And then Tennessee versus Arkansas. I don't know. I know you're not necessarily sold on Tennessee, but like something about them right now. Like, give me Tennessee upsetting Arkansas and moving on to Omaha. So that would be my super regional predictions. Garrett, do you want to go through yours?
Yeah. Starting out, we'd have Vanderbilt and Alabama much more, but I've got Vanderbilt taking that series, no issue. Texas and UC Irvine, I'd have that game going to all three games, but I think Texas that one. It'll be close, but I think it'll be in heartbreakingly close fashion. Then we've got the Tallahassee regional, Florida. It'll be Florida versus Oregon State. I've got Florida State winning that one. Um, then I have Ole Miss, or no, sorry. Then I have Georgia Tech Duke. Much similar to you, I'd have Georgia Tech, and I don't think Duke wins. Then I'd have UNC versus who did I pick in this one?
I think you also picked Cal Poly.
Yeah, I picked Cal Poly. I'd have UNC. I love Big West baseball as much as the next person, but I think UNC's got too much firepower. Then I'd have LSU versus Kentucky. I've got LSU. I'm too high there, so I got LSU winning that one. Then State ECU. I've got State winning that one. NC State won the regular season series. Was it a blowout? No, but was it convincing? Yeah. But ECU is a solid ball club, so that game might go to 3 games, but I've got NC State winning that one. Then I've got Cincinnati versus Arkansas. I got Arkansas taking that one too. I got Arkansas on the sweep on. So that leaves me with a Omaha of Vandy, Texas, Florida State, Georgia Tech, LSU, UNC, Cal Poly.
No, Cal Poly plays UNC.
Oh, sorry, UNC, NC State, and Arkansas. So that's who I have for that one. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Before we move on, how many Big Ten teams made it? Was it 2?
UCLA.
3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, there's a field of 64.
Oh, no,
and you only get 3
Nebraska.
in.
Nebraska, 4.
Oh, I forgot. Still, field of 64 and you only get 4 in.
Yeah.
Yikes. I mean, cheaters never win.
Yeah.
Although, anything else you want to add to college baseball?
No, I'm good.
Although, I know we said we'd end with college baseball, but I do have a shout out. So, obviously, for those of you who are unaware, yesterday Chelsea won the Europa Conference League, which is the third tier of European tournament. You've got the Champions League for the top 4 finishers, Europa League, which is for people who either get eliminated early in the Champions League or finish 5 through 6 in their leagues. And there's the Conference League for people who get knocked out of the Europa League early, or if you finish 6th sometimes in your league, it depends. Well, Chelsea have won the Conference League, which means they are the first team in history to win a Premier League or their domestic league, the domestic League Cup, the domestic FA Cup, the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League, and the Cup Winners' Cup, and the Club World Cup. They are the first club to win all of that. So, want to shout out. We'll probably do a more in-depth dive on soccer as the rest of the stuff comes to a close, as the Champions League final happens. When the rest of that stuff happens, we'll probably do more in depth on I'll probably do a Premier League breakdown at some point in the coming weeks, because I just finished up Chelsea for the first time in a few years, earned a spot in the Champions League. Because they won the Conference League, they would get a spot in the Europa League, but because they finished in a Champions League spot in the Premier League, that takes precedent. So their Europa League spot will now go to Real Betis, I believe, I will fact check this for the next episode, who now go to Real Betis, who just won, or who Chelsea beat in the Conference League. So I think that's where their spot goes. So, that's all I will say about that. I'll probably give a talk on, like I said, how Chelsea's season at some point in the coming weeks, just to spread out some of the media, fill the void as certain sports start to wind down. So, anything else you want to add? I know next week we're gonna go into Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Rob.
Yeah, there's nothing
Garrett's
else I
winning
really want
TikToker fights.
to
Garrett's winning TikToker fights. But no, that'll do it for us. A little bit shorter episode today. Hopefully, I'm gonna try and get this out on time. I know last week's episode I put out a little bit later than I would have liked, but well, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. We should have as the rest of stuff outside of swim for me starting to wind down. This I should be able to get these out a little faster, and I've streamlined the editing process, so these will get out a little faster. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. UFC, some Eastern Conference Finals breakdown, NBA stuff, and maybe some soccer. Thank you for listening in.